We have 9 faculties. The Faculty of Informatics, Science, Education and Psychology, Humanities, Social Sciences, Kindergarten Education, Law, Economics, and the Faculty of Special Needs Education. So we have programs at all levels. We have bachelor programs, even foundation program before the bachelor programs, master's programs, postgraduate programs, PhD, as you know, of course. And we teach most of these programs in English. So when I say in English, it means that every part of it is English. So you do the administration part in English as well. When students arrive, the most important part for them is to get information about visa and housing. And we have colleagues who are working with both of these services. So with visa information, you can ask the university for help if you need some. And with housing, we have a dormitory, let's say, system or infrastructure, but we also have a housing service office where you can find accommodation cheaper than it would be the market price, so it's quite convenient.
ELTE Walk. Everything you need to know about ELTE.
Welcome to the ELTE Walk podcast, a program of the ELTE International Strategy Office created to present everything you need to know about Eötvös Loránd University as a prospective or current international student. I'm Raissa Negrão, a student in the doctoral program in psychology at ELTE and an international student ambassador. My co-host is Tomasz Jamriszko, editor-in-chief of the first university radio of the city of Pest, which is producing this program in cooperation with ELTE International Strategy Office.
Welcome to you all. Our first guest on our first episode is Panni Oláh, International Coordinator, with whom we will talk mainly about what you should know about ELTE as an international student. Hello, Panni.
Hi, nice to be here.
Raissa, you come to us from Brazil, which is not really close, in fact. Why did you choose ELTE and Hungary? What questions did you have before you applied here?
Indeed, Brazil is quite far away, but the reason why I chose this university and this country was because of the opportunity that I have as a scholarship holder. And by the way, my scholarship is going to be a topic for one of the next episodes, so stay tuned. I'm a Stipendium Hungaricum holder, scholarship holder, and they had this program that I was incredibly attracted to because I always liked mental health and cognition in general. So I came here and I have searched a lot about ELTE as a super traditional university with so many prizes, and I thought it was the right place to apply. And I think my very, very first concern, of course, after the bureaucratics of how to get a visa and the documents that you need to enter in the country as a student, was housing. I think this was my biggest concern at the beginning. So, because I have never lived in a dorm before, so it was how to fit in a dorm, how to apply for a dormitory, and I hope we can talk about such questions today.
That has many services, as you mentioned before, the dormitory, and many prizes, of course, as a traditional university. Panni, how would you introduce ELTE to a prospective student who is interested in studying in Europe, especially in Hungary, in our university?
So my introduction now will not be aimed at you because, of course, Raissa, you know all about it now, maybe better than I do. But I also studied here, but that was a long time ago. So this is actually the biggest university in Hungary when it comes to students number, definitely. So we have the most students within the country. And this is also the longest continuously operating university in the country, which means that it was founded in 1635 and it has been a university in the past centuries. So it's a very, very old university. Even within Europe, I would say that it's a rather old university. And it was founded, I don't want to bore you with the history of the university, which, by the way, is super interesting, but I don't want to get into the long history, but the short one is that it was founded by a Jesuit priest, and in the beginning it was a Jesuit university in the beginning of the 17th century. And then during the centuries, we had different faculties that left the university or were added to the university. So, for example, if you have heard maybe of Semmelweis University, that used to be the Faculty of Medicine of our university, which now is a separate excellent university in Hungary. But we also have additions to our university. So we have Faculty of Economics, which joined our university actually in the end of the last decade. So it's a relatively new faculty, and now we have 9 faculties and 1 institution.
I was also very intrigued when I came here for the name of the university itself. So what does ELTE stand for? Could you
Yes. So it had different names during this very interesting period of time, which I just mentioned very briefly. It got its name, the current name, in 1950. It's named after Loránd Eötvös, who was a physicist and a politician who was very important in the late 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. And he was actually the rector of the university, I think, in 1891 and 92. So that's one of the reasons, but he's also one of the big inventors of Hungary and, of course, of ELTE, because he was the one who invented the torsion pendulum, which actually you can see in our Faculty of Sciences. So if you go there, you can check it there.
So, by the way, about the faculties, I think that's clearly ELTE is in Hungary, but where is it exactly located? You said 9 faculties, so that's a huge place. So, where is it located?
It's kind of everywhere, to be honest, within Budapest. So it's located in the capital city of Hungary, in Budapest. We have, I think, 7 centers within Budapest in different locations. So some of our faculties are located in the city center, so 5th district, which if you have been to Budapest, which I encourage you to visit sometime, you know that it's like really the heart of the city, which I know is a cliche, but it's true. But we have faculties all over Budapest, and we also have an institution in Szombathely, which is a bit smaller city near the Austrian border. So these are the 2 main locations of the university.
Hessa, how do you feel that as an international student, this one that Panni mentioned, many faculties in the downtown, in the heart of the city, so for example 5 minutes walk to get to the psychology department?
Yeah, this is what I actually wanted to mention, because my master's was the interdisciplinary program. So we had to go from building to building to move to classes. So in one semester I had to go to, 5 different campuses. And it's very, very interesting because they are so different. So the Faculty of Psychology, for example, is very traditional. The building is very traditional, but the Faculty of Informatics is so modern. So it's good that also you can have contact with these different architecture and also different students from different fields when you have these different practices. And these are inconvenient because you have different places to eat, for example, in different buildings. So I think it's very, very, very interesting and important, I think, to know the city more as well.
I think it's funny when you say traditional, we have different traditional buildings. So we have traditional as in from the end of the 19th century traditional, and we also have traditional as in from the 50s, 1950s. So different traditions live with us.
So you can choose between what kind of tradition you like.
Yes.
Which one do you prefer by the architecture, of course? So, by the way, how many students are studying right now at the ELTE, and how many of them are international students? Do you have any kind of approximately numbers?
Approximately, we have 33,000 students, which is a huge number, really. I can't emphasize it enough. And out of that, around 3,500 students are coming from all over the world. At the moment, we have students from over 125 countries, I think, which is again very impressive. I'm not bragging, or I'm a bit bragging, but I think it's very impressive.
Wow, yes. Well, I know a few international students, but I have no idea that was so many nationalities. That's very interesting. What would you say that is the reason? Why is it good and worthwhile for someone to apply to ELTE?
Well, there are so many different reasons. It depends really on your preferences. We have many students who apply here, understandably, because they want an EU degree, which I completely understand. Hungary is in the European Union, and the degree we give to our students is an EU degree, which is very valuable. So that's one of the reasons. But also, it is really a very, very high level education and a very high quality education. So at all levels, I think students can find what they are looking for. And I hope that our international students feel the same way. And they will when they start working either at home or in Europe or in Hungary. They will feel that their degree prepared them for their life path or choice.
You mentioned before we have 9 faculties. Could you name them?
Yes. I actually brought a list not to forget anything.
Just before you start counting on them, we will attach all of the faculties' web pages to our podcast show notes just to get to reach them much more easier.
Okay. So we have 9 faculties. The Faculty of Informatics, Science, Education and Psychology, Humanities, Social Sciences, Kindergarten Education, Law, Economics, and the Faculty of Special Needs Education.
That's so many.
Yes, it is. That's why we have so many students and so many professors to teach them.
So speaking about these amazing faculties, can you tell us more about the degree programs that ELTE offers to international students?
Yes. So we have programs at all levels. We have bachelor programs, even foundation program before the bachelor programs, master's programs, postgraduate programs, PhD, as you know, of course. And we teach most of these programs in English. So when I say in English, it means that every part of it is English. So you do the administration part in English as well. But we do have over 20 programs at the Faculty of Humanities where we teach languages such as Dutch, Ukrainian, Polish, Scandinavian languages, and Hungarian, of course, where you actually study the language of the program that you chose. So we don't only teach in English, but we also teach these different languages.
You mentioned many programs and many studying fields. Do you have any information about that? Which programs are the most interesting for the international students and the most popular, for example, informatics or stuff like that? Which one they prefer the most?
I think it's universal, actually. That's what I found, at least. So informatics is always super popular, so computer science at all levels is always very popular. Also, international relations, psychology, business. So I would say that these are the ones we have the most questions about. But of course, it means that it's the hardest to get into these programs because it's very competitive. But I think this is quite universal, other places as well.
What kind of services does ELTE offer to international students?
So when I talk about services at ELTE, I usually use a PowerPoint presentation and I have a slide which is like filled with services. So I'm not going to list them all, but I thought that I would mention a few that I think is important. So as you mentioned, when students arrive, the most important part for them is to get information about visa and housing. And we have colleagues who are working with both of these services. So with visa information, you can ask the university for help if you need some. And with housing, we have a dormitory, let's say, system or infrastructure, but we also have a housing service office where you can find accommodation cheaper than it would be the market price. So it's quite convenient. And also we have an orientation week at the beginning of your studies, and we try to give as much information as possible to make your life easier in Budapest. We also have students who are helping other students. We hope to even improve this system better in the future, but we have that implanted as well. My personal favorite, or one of my personal favorites, which might coincide with your personal favorite, is the life management support, which is also given to students, Hungarian and international students. So if you have any problems with studying or relationships, or you are homesick or any of these mental health issues, you can find a counselor and talk about it on a weekly basis. So I think this is a very good way to support students. But now I could name dozens but these are my favorites.
Speaking of which, this life management support, how can we imagine that? For example, there's a number or there's an email if I have some kind of studying difficulties or just to get my classmates or other students get better, how it look like deeply? Because I think it's a unique thing in the universities, mostly in Europe, of course, to help the mental well-being of the students.
As far as I know, at the beginning you can book maybe 8 sessions or something like that, right?
Yes, I have. I have taken those.
Do you know this program?
Maybe you can speak about it a bit better than I can. But yeah, that's the idea. So at the beginning you get a certain number of sessions, and then if you need further help, then my colleagues can help you with how to look for help, where to look for help. But if you have any personal information, maybe you can share a little.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, share it, please. I'm very interested.
Okay. I think you have read my mind, because I think this is the biggest, support that the university could give to a student, because we know that the student life is very stressful. And especially in the pandemic time, when I requested this service, it was very easy. They have a web page that probably you're going to listen as well to this episode. And then you can just apply, send an email and fill out a form, and they reply you very, very fast, actually. I had my response very fast, and I thought it would take longer because it was pandemic times, everybody was struggling, and it was such a great opportunity for me to calm down and focus on my studies from home. So I think I really recommend, because it was very, very, very important for my studies and my personal life as well, because we were discussing everything. It was a counseling sessions, and that's true. After this amount of sessions, if they see the need that you still are in the need of more session, they book more. I'm not quite sure if it's 8 or 7, and if they see that you have an extra need, they refer you to a professional, a psychologist or psychiatrist. So it's very important and necessary, and the great, actually, thing that ELTE provides. Yeah.
I'm glad you say that.
Panni, what are your experiences with the international students about their needs, their experiences? Of course, as Heisa mentioned before, Brazil is a bit far away from here, a bit different culture, and we have many students from abroad. What are the typical experiences, typical needs, typical problems? What are those topics the future or prospective international students have to look after or think about?
Well, I think one of the things that's definitely something to mention is that students who, and it's true everywhere, that when you change your residency to another country, then you have to face so many things at once. Then I think it's very important not to be overwhelmed, or at least try to manage these things in a way which I think in the beginning is very, very difficult, especially because you don't have any way of predicting what will happen to you, to be honest. But one of the things that's definitely not easy, I think, for students is that in Hungary, the university actually expects a lot from you, and now I'm talking about academically. So I think very often the university will ask you to study harder than you have studied before, which is a very pressing feeling for students. So this is something that they need to get through somehow. And I think the best way to do that is probably with study groups or finding people who will help you. So I think in the beginning, wherever you go to study, it will be a lot of struggle, to be honest. But if you find some comfort in your peers, then it can help. But in Hungary, definitely it goes to all faculties that you will have to study a lot, because it's a very demanding academic system. We actually have it from the German academic system, so we have a similar process here, and it's a very fact-based study method, let's say. So we are, of course, progressing with time as well, and we include so many practical things, but it's a lot of factual things you need to learn here.
Including the whole system itself, because from a personal experience, in my home country, the whole grading system, exam system is totally different from here, so you need to readjust and adapt to that.
Yeah, good point. What about the grading system here?
Yes, so actually in Hungary it's the same whichever level you are at. So even if you are 6-year-old or 60, you will have grades between 1 and 5, 5 being the best. So that's what you can expect. There is not many wiggle room there, so 3.5 is not really a mark you can get, so you will get a 3 or a 4. So yeah, that's the system. And in, I think, the American system, it would, a 5 would be an A, if that translates to more people.
Yeah, that's much more clear.
So how can prospective students apply to ELTE?
I would like to think it's relatively easy. I hope that students can confirm that. So we have, if you go to our website, which of course will be in the show notes, you can go to prospective students, and there we try to collect all the information you need when you are trying to decide how to apply or where to apply. And we also have a step-by-step application guide. We have an application system called Dream Apply, which I hope it lives up to its name. So there you can submit your application, and in the video, which is the guide, you can see how to do it properly. And on this prospective students website, you can also find a page where you can check all the degree programs and what you need, which documents to submit, what kind of language requirements we have at which program, what to expect at the entrance exam. So all information is provided there. So if I were a student who is interested in ELTE, I would go to find your degree program at ELTE. We will definitely put this in the show notes. That's where you get all the information about all programs, about admission and everything.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, it's important also, I think, that to mention that every faculty has its own requirements and entrance exams, because they are different from faculty to faculty as well.
Yeah, check the information, check the show notes, and you will get all of them.
Yes. Well, thank you for your attention, and thank you to Panni Oláh for being with us.
In our next episode, we will talk about scholarship opportunities at the ELTE. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
ELTE Walk. Everything you need to know about ELTE.